All right, so in lieu of our class today, and since we won't be meeting to talk about the creatures, these living creatures in Ezekiel 1, that have four faces, one on each side, they have human hands, they have pairs of wings, multiple pairs of wings. By the way, they're never in the text called angels. In chapter 10, they're actually called cherubim, and cherubim are not naked little babies. A number of you thought, well, maybe I've never seen anything like this. Well, part of what I wanted to provide today, and I would have done this if we were having class in person, would be to walk you through some ancient Near Eastern images that will show you what you might expect that would be normal-ish for for these sorts of creatures. So first, this is just a basic image of the Sphinx, and you can see in the image cat-like body. Most of you probably are familiar. You note the human head, but some sort of cat-like body. This strange mixing of creatures. Now, obviously, this is a small Sphinx, but it's representative of also the Great Sphinx. Again, this is an Egyptian image where it was not considered abnormal to have something that is blended. Anything that is divine may, in fact, be expected to belong to multiple categories of creature or other things. Here's an image of Set, who is a god of death, but you will note the attending gods here on each side of Set. The head of a jackal, the head of a falcon or hawk, and again, you're probably familiar with this sort of imagery. You just weren't thinking of it as you were reading the text. So again, and human bodies with creature heads. And so again, it's not as surprising in an Egyptian context. Well, let's look at something a little nearer to Ezekiel. This is technically what is called the Ishtar, the Great Ishtar Gate. Um, this is a Babylonian gate built actually right around the time of Ezekiel. You can see some sort of bull-like creatures, some sort of lion creatures are also depicted in this iconography, but I want to focus in on these creatures that are long and skinny. Here's a close-up. You'll note that it has scales. It has its rear hind legs are bird-like. Its front are actually cat-like. You'll see it has a serpent tongue, but it also has horns. Um, so what exactly is this creature? Well, it is a blending of things, some sort of dragon, some sort of divine creature. Again, this would have been a gate that folks would have passed through again and again in their experience of ancient Babylon. So this sort of imagery was already present in Ezekiel's very context. I want to show you another image. This is another Babylonian image, a more ancient one. But on the right is the god Marduk, the chief god of the sun. And he obviously looks very human. However, he's attacking a chaos god. You can see here hands. He has like almost human like hands, but cat like claws. It has the head of a bull, horns and such. Not sure if the nose is meant to be bull-like or dog-like, but we have canines, which is suggestive either of lion or something like that, despite the bull. You can see these appear to all be feathers. It has at least two sets of wings. It has bird-like hind legs. So again, what we're seeing is a blending of creatures that indicate the divine. And finally, here is the a gate that is found in now in the British Museum in London, but was taken from ancient Assyria. I just want to point this out because I'm always fascinated by this. By the way, it's much bigger than it appears. I've walked through this gate. You would stand up to somewhere along kind of around the hindquarters, your height. So it's fairly large. You'll see the head of a man. It looks like some sort of a lion-like body. However, the legs, again, while being somewhat cat-like in the front, almost seem bird-like in the separation of toes. You'll note that it has wings and feathers in the front, but some sort of harness in the back holding it. Also, a curiosity, you'll note that there are 5 legs. 5 legs. The reason for this was just as a little aside, a little fun aside, it made the viewer experience the creature in different ways. If you stood directly in front of this statue that greeted you at the gate, it looked as if it was standing, where you would only see the 2 front legs stationary. However, as passing through the gate, you would see this hidden leg, and suddenly the furthest leg in the front disappears from view, and it appears the creature is walking. Just a fascinating way of trying to capture motion from a stationary creature. It's not intended to show that this creature was supposed to actually have 5 legs, but some way of just showing that that there was excuse me, some sort of movement and stationary aspect to it. Now, just to mention, a number of you talk about, well, we don't have things like this, or we're not familiar with images like this. I would dare say all of you are. If you have ever watched any superhero anything, any science fiction anything, you have seen all sorts of bizarre depictions of blended creatures, blended humanoid type creatures. And again, we just don't tend to think in the in those ways directly, but they fill our world. You will see images on television, on your phone, social media. Like, this is the stuff of imagination. It's not to say that it's pretend, but it is the stuff of human imaginings regarding that which is more than just human. Again, this is why some of our superheroes are even gods in the way that they get described, thinking of a Thor or a Loki or some other beings. And so I just wanted to hopefully help you recognize that we do have things like this, similar-ish to this, even if it doesn't explain everything. I hope you enjoyed our brief examination of a comparison of the cherubim, trying to reconstruct thinking about them as beings.